Good morning and welcome. Jean would be so very pleased in knowing that you have come to celebrate her life. I know that she would have been a joy to you personally, those who knew her personally. I knew her for just a few months, perhaps a little over a year and a half, but what I saw and knew of Jean, I very much appreciated. And so I'll share a few words myself with others later in the service. So you are here then to celebrate a life well lived. I want to invite Jean Herford, who is a long-standing member of this community and a friend of Jean's, to offer words of welcome and comments. Jean? Excuse me, Glenn.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of the Rekow family, welcome to the celebration of the life of Jean Rekow. It's altogether fitting and proper that this service be held here in this church, where Jean was an active member for more than 70 years. Throughout that time, she participated and shared with other members the work that's necessary to make a church a welcoming place. And she certainly was a champion at welcoming people and making them comfortable here and elsewhere. She participated in other organizations in the community with the same skills. Her generosity and her friendliness helped those organizations to serve their particular wishes in the service to the community. Jean also visited Luther Haven. She delivered Meals on Wheels. But I think what many people don't recognize is that individually, she made more visits to people who were ill, whether they were rich or poor, how sick or ill they might have been. She was always finding someone who needed help, and she was there to give it. And she did so with the typical generosity, both in what she delivered, but by delivering herself and sharing herself. She was a person that everyone wanted to have an opportunity to be with. Her warmth and fellowship was felt throughout the community. When she went shopping, when she had someone come to her house or to her lawn or garden to do some work, she made them feel welcome. She thanked them. She was always generous in giving of herself. Jean also had a great affinity for young people. She, along with Ollie, spent much time helping young people learn how to work properly and how to choose a career and how to be successful in that career. That is exhibited by Jean and Ollie's establishment of the Jean B. and Oliver B. Rekow, Jean C. and Oliver B. Rekow Education Fund, which again is designed to help young people locally achieve greater and better things for themselves and for the world. She and Ollie, and many of you know that Ollie was very active in the community doing many things, often at a different level than Jean, but together they were dedicated to many activities, many causes in the community. It could be church, healthcare, education, homelessness. They just really worked to make Montevideo and this world a better place in which to live. By their example and guidance, they helped their 5 children, their mates, and their grandchildren to establish many of the same characteristics as Jean. On behalf of the family, thank you for being here and sharing, and we wish you the best and extend our deepest sympathy to you as we continue with celebration of the life of Jean Rekow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Your words indeed identify the Jean that we have known. Strong commitment to family and to community. Thank you. I'd like to just give a quick orientation, as is the custom. First of all, facilities. There is a restroom around this corner, and there are also 2 restrooms in the basement area. And I think searching around, you'll find them. There it is marked on one of the doors. So there's also some coffee to the back. Those of you who need a break or whatever, you'll find that there. But especially, I want to remind you of what follows the service. You were invited to come to table 212 for a gathering and a meal. And as you know, if you know table 212, on entering to the right, going past the bar area, there is a large banquet area. And that's where the family and friends will gather. And all of you are welcome to come to that immediately after the service. All of you have received a copy, or the copy is available, of Jean's life, and here you have the order of the service and various names given here for what will be done. As you will see in this order of service, music was very important to Jean, and so we will have family members and also friends participate in the service by giving their gifts in music. And the selections that we have here, as I recall, Jean participated in the selections that we have for today, the music and so forth. All of this would have been very close to the heart of Jean. And so we will start with Be Thou My Vision. Perhaps we'll start again, and actually we have hymnals, and so we will identify the number, and then we all can refer to that.
It's 451.
451, page 451. by Marissa Rekow.
So this is a poem that I wrote for my grandmother when she was very sick. And it was something that I wrote when I was up in college at St. Cloud as kind of a way of coping with her soon becoming death, actually. So this is a poem called What a Beautiful Life. Life, oh how many trails you could have followed, oh how many mistakes you could have made, oh how many times you fell and thought to never get back up. Yet here you stand, strong, proud, and beautiful. Life, how many twists and turns will come your way. Your skies may darken with clouds of gray, but the sun will shine time and time again. To be optimistic, that you always are. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. You will see just how beautiful life can be. For my Nana, my love.
Amen. And now Jean's favorite scripture passage. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We now invite you to sing How Great Thou Art. And Paige,
It's just music.
it is only music. How Great Thou Art. It's only music.
I'll play a few verses. All right.
up to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. A song of thanksgiving, a song of appreciation. And I can see why this was meaningful to Jean. We now would like to share remembrances, especially remembrances given by the family. And then following that, those of you who would have a brief remembrance that you would like to share with us, please, after the family has shared their responses, please feel free to come forward to share your response. Mark?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Well, I was doing very well until actually Marissa got up and read that poem. That kind of tipped the balance for this guy. So, I told my family that I could very well be a puddle in here. And hopefully I'll be able to swim my way out of it. We'll see what happens. I want to thank you on behalf of the family for being here. This is a very special day for all of us, and no doubt for all of you. As you know, we had to wait. We had waited quite a while since Mom passed on. But she, as Reverend Kogiman mentioned, she planned the service that we're participating in. And we felt that it was really important to honor her ideas, her wishes. And so we have waited, happy that we're gathered now. I'd like to make a few reflections as best I can. A couple of things a couple of stories, a couple of things that I want to relate to all of you in terms of what I think was important to me about my mother. Our mother. And that really, what I'm going to focus on is kind of her sense, her spirit, her sense of adventure, her, sometimes referred to her spunk. And those that knew her knew that was a good part of who she was, and a wonderful part of who she was. So, going back in time, there's a term that was used, I don't know so much now, but if a girl was involved in sports, interested in activity, like that, athletic activity in particular, they oftentimes were called tomboy. And Mom was a tomboy. This is long before Title IX and a lot of things for girls or women. So, growing up with a younger brother, and his friends, she liked to play ball, and she had to be good enough to stick on that field. And she usually did. So in the early days of our family, my dad was busy trying to make enough money to keep us in groceries and clothes and diapers. And so after the work week ended at the bank, he oftentimes on weekends would sell life insurance as a way of making a little extra money. And I, growing up, and this is in the 50s, I wanted to learn how to play baseball. And Dad wasn't around. And so I learned how to play ball from Mom. And this is at the old house on 10th Street. And so we did this in the front yard. I mean, who was playing catch with their mom? And as some of you will remember, the first baseball glove that you get is not a Walnut. It's some kind of a toy mitt that Mom delighted in being able to, and she had a pretty good arm, whipping that ball and seeing the sting. That was a toy mitt. It was great. Years later, after they both retired, one of the things that they like to do is shorten up the winters and go to Arizona. And that typically would mean renting a place for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and oftentimes it was a different place. And they enjoyed getting away from the winter, and us family members, as children and later grandchildren, enjoyed visiting them down in Arizona. And the last place that they rented was really clearly the best. It was a beautiful place in a nice area called Terra Vita that had a wonderful backyard with a pool and hot tub, and I think many, if not all of us family members gathered there and really enjoyed it. And so the Mom and Dad enjoyed it very much too, as well as enjoying having us join them. And so they decided to rent the same place again. Well, unfortunately, in August of that year, Dad died. And of course, there was a decision to be made. What do I do? Mom. And she decided, well, put the money down. I should go to Arizona and enjoy this place, which she did. And some of us came and visited. And when I was down there, and I really suspect that this question was something that we discussed with everyone in the family. But she said, no, I kind of like the quiet place down there. And she said, I don't know, can I afford it? And being the oldest, probably being the one that was more the financial advisor to her, I said, yeah, you can do it. And she did it. And I think the part that was remarkable to me at that time was she'd never done anything like that. She had the wise counsel of her husband and followed pretty much as he directed, and they obviously made their decisions together. But this was something that she did on her own. It was her decision. And as a family member, and I think I could speak for probably everybody in the family, it was really one of the best decisions you made, because there was a space that was created where we all gathered, and we really enjoyed our time down there. And in this process of grieving Mom and dealing with all the things that you have to deal with, selling the house in Montevideo was difficult. In some ways, selling the house in Arizona was even harder. But for those that visited, had the good fortune of visiting, that house was all everything that she did, everything that she bought, everything that was designed was all hers. And it was beautiful. I just don't buy it. The last thing I want to talk about, and I could go on, but I know others want to talk, and so you'd be relieved to know that I'm setting limits on myself. The other really kind of special time that I want to talk about is her last big trip. Some of you know what I'm referring to. Others I want to explain. So, Mom didn't want to, well, she wanted to celebrate her 90th birthday. And she decided what she really wanted to do was to have family gather at a special place, the lake. Always been an incredible gathering spot. And so she wanted that all of us celebrate together up there, which we did. But what she didn't know, and of course every birthday should have some surprises, is that late morning, get exactly the time, not important. I encouraged her, I said, Mom, we've got to go down to the shore. We've got to go down to the dock. I'm fine here. What? And I said, no. We've got to go down to the lake. Everybody goes on down. And we get down to the lake, and it wasn't long after. Communication was good, the timing was good. Up over the treetops comes this float plane, and it kind of swoops down over where we're standing. And head pops up, kind of startled, you know. And then that plane circled around and landed in front of our dock. That plane came to give her a birthday wrap. And she was delighted. You know, you see it with gleam and the glint in her eye. The thrill of getting up in this plane, circling the area, the lakes, our lake and the lakes around it. The look on her face when she landed was absolutely priceless. And it really said a lot about who she was. She was up for an adventure. And I think that spirit is really what I treasure most about her. Thank you, brother.
There's always have a little confusion, who's going first, who's going next. Anyway, Mark, it's really hard to follow after you, I tell you. You touched on so many important things. Our sweet mama, let me see. When I think of my mom, what I most admired, loved, and learned is giving back to the community. She was a fierce leader. She did this in so many ways, as Glenn touched on, delivering Meals on Wheels. I soon learned that there were some areas in Montevideo that people were very less fortunate than we were. And that really touched me. I went on, and through our church, I coordinated Meals on Wheels for 6 years. Both Andrew and Annette would come. You know, they would in half-day afternoon kindergarten. They would eat their lunches in the car while we went to the local Meals on Wheels. And, you know, Mom taught me how important that is to give back and help the less fortunate. And I do carry that on. You know, I really realized that, you know, these people really, you know, only have really one nutritious meal that they got from Meals on Wheels. Luther Haven was another place that was very dear to her heart. My mom loved growing roses and had many roses. I don't know if it was 36 rose bushes, but she would deliver fresh flowers to the elderly at Luther Haven. I, of course, went on to become a candy striker, a nursing assistant, and then on to be a nurse. But she had hoped one day to be a nurse, and she met my dad, obviously a little bit too early, and they fell in love, and they got married and had children. And, you know, I encouraged Mom to go back to school to Marshall and, you know, live her dream. But she had just too many activities and too many things with raising 5 kids. She knew the town well and was very well received and adored by so many. Now to what she really loves, shopping. She was, I would say, a bit of a fashionista. I hope you approve of what I wore today. I'm sure she would check from head to toe that things were in order. She took many trips with Donna Torvik, Beth Jones, Pam Anderson, and whoever into the cities, as we call out here in Montevideo. They would go to the Galleria, they would have a lunch, they would look around. Occasionally Jane and I would come along, have lunch. She was, her name brand, of course, to the family, of course, we know, Eileen Fisher. She had to have a blouse, a scarf, a sweater, the pants down to the shoes. She loved Eileen Fisher. She could hardly go by Eileen Fisher store without stopping in and buying something. And maybe Jane and I would maybe get a piece also. Maybe. On sale. My mom was really amazing in a crisis situation. She just really rose to the occasion. Whether it was someone that was hospitalized, on hospice, just had a baby, she just knew what to do, and she went into action mode. Delivering that meal, helping out, working, cleaning. She just really rose to the occasion. And it's really dear to my heart. And I really adore her for that. Because she showed our family and friends her acts of kindness, especially in the town of Montevideo that she so loved. We miss her, we love her, but she's always with us. I see her everywhere. I love you, Mom. I miss you. And I thank you all for coming. It really means a lot to all of us that you're here to share in the celebration of life. And I think there might be some gals from the not the Hair District, Hair Connection, which that was another favorite place that she loved. And I know in the last 4 months of her
transition, she was able to get her hair done twice a week. And that was so important to her. I mean, it really meant a lot. And you guys did a fabulous job. And I really loved when you put the feather in her hair. And she felt pretty special, and you guys were really good to her. So I thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Well, sticking with the fashion theme, many of you are aware of Mom's persistent efforts to ensure that I look presentable. Let us say that her confidence that I could handle this on my own was not high, and she felt she had many examples to call upon to support that. And of course, being someone that accepted life as it was presented to her, let's deal with this. So in the college days, somehow I would always end up with one or two more nice shirts, or generally outfits was preferred. Then there was no chance for error. But I would end up with a few more things than my siblings, and that was effective for her. And then Lisa and I got married, and she partnered up with Lisa, and together they put in place, I would say, fashion guardrails. And it was actually a very simple plan. Control what goes into his closet, and then don't worry about what comes out. And this worked to perfection if every shirt matched every pair of pants and vice versa. And that's sort of how we roll. It was very black, white. You get the idea. So this system worked very well, with few exceptions. And occasionally there was a breach in the family areas. And about 10 years ago, we were planning a family trip. Mark talked about the wonderful place that she had in Scottsdale, Arizona. And Lisa and I and the girls were getting ready for a week's vacation in Terra Vita. And, get stuff ready, and this is nice. And Mom liked to take us out. It was one of the fun things we did. There were some beautiful restaurants, very nice restaurants. One of them was called Spica, an Italian eatery that we loved going to. And we were going out that night, and she treated us all, and it was a great occasion. And I thought, I think I can kind of go outside the color palette a little bit. I think I got this. And so we were all getting ready, and just putting finishing touches on. Mom was all set to go, sitting in the living room, and I got my stuff on, and I came out into the living room, and she looked up, and she actually gasped. And of course, she quickly recovered. And she gave me that look. And I know that the first few rows have seen this look multiple times, but perhaps most people here have seen that. Peter, do you actually believe you look good? Needless to say, fashion guardrails were reinforced, and we were all on notice that it would be best if that didn't happen again. So it should be clear if it wasn't, that I did not share Mom's talent for style and fashion. But that didn't keep me from very much appreciating those qualities in her. In part, they contributed to my view that Mom was a woman of uncommon grace and dignity. And I admired her for that. Her impeccable taste and elegant style certainly contributed to the unique presence that she had. A presence that attracted your attention and your respect. And I came to learn that her style and fashion sense were only a small part of what gave her such presence. The dignity that she carried so effortlessly gained most of its luster from the fundamental values and character traits that she possessed. The principles by which she lived went far beyond the latest Eileen Fisher fashion or the latest shoe designs from Nordstrom. Although, you can be both good and look good. But some principles that have special meaning to me include her resolve to push through life's challenge. Mom accepted what happened. She didn't whine about stuff. She made the best of things. She always endeavored to have a positive attitude and was largely successful. Peter, no one likes a sourpuss. And she had a moral compass that knew where true north was. And if we wavered a bit, she wasn't afraid to let us know. So I feel very fortunate to have had the opportunity to have these reminders as a part of my life through all these years. Compliments of a woman of uncommon grace.
A woman of uncommon grace. Thank you, family. Are there others who would like to share a memory? Thank you.
I can add just a little to what has been shared today already. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining us to celebrate Jean's life. Incredible life she did have. For those who don't know who I am, I'm Tom Braun, her favorite son-in-law. That goes with saying that I was her only son-in-law for a number of years. But there was a standing joke between her and I. She would always say our goodbyes and say, "Oh, you're my favorite son-in-law." So couldn't go without saying that. Also, I heard her referred to as Jean the Machine. I don't know how many people called her that, but she certainly lived a life that was a perfect reflection of her level of energy. We never knew where she got all that energy from, how she could continue to do everything she did. She was certainly a machine. She had an active life in faith, her community, her friends, loved to host whatever party it was or assist in hosting that party. Everyone here knows that, and we certainly enjoyed many of those times. Family and friends, the Montevideo community, all have been touched by her generosity and her time and kindness. And if you ask me, Jean was always paying it forward. Whatever she was doing, she was paying it forward. There were times, and we all had to figure out how we could pay her back in return. For myself, it was being her handyman. When it came to taking on projects, whether it was at the lake, Terra Vita, or 121 as we refer to the home here. She always had a project for me to take care of, and I always wanted to make sure I took care of it before I left. But when I also refer to paying it forward, I mostly think of the random act of kindness that she did for everybody in the community, whether it was friends, family. She always remembered people's birthday. It may have been early, it may have been late, but she always remembered everyone around her. But most importantly, she loved her sports. She just loved all the local activities. I've heard many stories from the people here or those that I've crossed paths with about when in their younger life that she would just attend a sporting event and be our cheerleader. And I can't say that she was such a cheerleader for all of us, but her grandchildren most. She loved attending, whether it was a school event, school performances, lacrosse games, football games, baseball games, even ski racing. I never knew a woman her age that loved winter more than she did. She didn't want to leave until she'd experienced at least January cold. She didn't head off to Arizona until it was part of that life was experienced. My heart tells me that we've all experienced these special memories with her and how she supported us with during her incredible life. And it was Gina always paying it forward. She was always humble, and she kept us humble. She's been an incredible inspiration to myself and to all you she's touched. I miss her dearly. Love you, Jean. God bless.
Thank you, family, for these incredible, wonderful, wonderful stories. Thank you so very much. We now will continue our service and with some presentations from the family, unless there is some other member of our community who would like to offer remarks. Thank you. We now will invite for special music that of Heidi Torvik. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you very much. Now we invite Allie and Kayla and possibly Lisa.
I would like to say thank you to Heidi. That was beautiful. And Heidi and Jean have had a very special relationship over the years. It was very important to Jean. So thank you. We have a tradition in the Rekow family where we sit around and sing songs after the Thanksgiving meal. And this is a song that Jean always requested. So we're going to sing it for her today.
Thank you very much. Granddaughters and mother, thank you very much. We remember Jean as we look out in nature, a person who loved nature, a person who loved people and was really connected to everything. And we know that her spirit continues on. It continues on in our hearts. It continues on in all of the relationships that Jean created and was a part of, those who benefited from her life. Her spirit is on. Her spirit is among us, present in us, very much present here, and is present because she is part of the ongoing presence of the divine in nature. She is now part of the divine in all of creation. She continues on with us. I would like to share a reflection that I think very much touches exactly who Jean was. And this is in praise of a remarkable woman, and it's Proverbs 31. The likes of Jean. A capable partner who can find. She is far more precious than jewels. The hearts of her partners trust her, and they will have no lack of gain. She does them good and not harm all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. Strength and dignity are her clothing. And she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teachings of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her community too, and they praise her. Many women have done excellently, but you, dear sister Jean, surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her a share in the fruits of her hands, and let her works praise her in the assembly of her friends. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her community too, and they will praise her. The psalmist here, the writer of Psalm 31, wrote this ode, this song, to a woman who was the likes of Jean. Like the woman in Proverbs 31, Jean too was a remarkable woman. She too spent her life and talent in the service of family and community. In our service bulletin that you received, you have a snapshot, highlights of the life of Jean. Though a snapshot, there's much to learn. Her connections to others, her children and extended family, and we have heard personal testimony. There's much to learn through their sharings with us. Her love for life and adventure. Her home life with animals that were not referred to by the family.
but the dogs and the bats and the spider. Love for life also outside of the house. The variety of birds that Jean would take care of, feed the birds. She had a feeder right outside of her beautiful window, looking out into the yard. And she saw to it that the raccoon families and the squirrels, there are stories about those raccoons that I dare not say. But Jean was really in love with this wildlife, this nature about her. She took it seriously. She took the landscape immediately around about the house seriously because she loved nature. She was a part of nature. Then, in traveling the world, I wonder what Jean came across as she went to the various cities, these major cities that are identified in your bulletin, these major cities in Europe, also Africa and Asia and the Americas. I wonder what she learned of their history and language and culture and how that transformed her personally and made her the person that she was because of these contacts, seeing all this beautiful diversity in the world. How that impacted her and how that impacted her children and their sensibilities and their openness to the world and all the peoples in the world. And I know that it has had an impact because I have personally felt it. You just have a sense and a feeling when it is there. It communicates itself. It cannot be hidden. Jean had that impact on the family. Also, in this bulletin and in these stories, Jean's concern about people, the common struggles that people had to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and how she understood that and reached out to that. Later in life, yes, she had some privilege, but she didn't wrap herself up in that privilege. She was concerned about the needs of others. She reached out to others. She saw others. She visited others. She knew the community and interacted with others in their need. So, therefore, the community was impacted by Jean, and Jean certainly took them in her heart. There was a mutual exchange there. I remember on the occasions that I went and visited the house, not that there were all that many because I knew Jean late the last 2 years of her life, but I remember sitting there, and I know where I was sitting in the northern the northern part of the room, and over here was a picture of a African woman or a child. Dominantly displayed. I didn't say anything about it. Nothing was said about it. But I said, something is going on here. You know, how many houses do I go to where I would see an African woman or child displayed? What is that saying? What is that saying? Beautifully displayed. It said something about Jean. It said something about Jean. About her universality. About her ability to reach out and to be impacted by many different peoples. That they made a difference to her. There's much to learn then from the collections of photos and life artifacts that are associated with Jean if we had the privilege to visit her house. The centrality of family, the love for children and grandchildren, the travel, the music, the sports, the adventure of all sorts. All speaking to a love for life in the fullness, while holding on to a consistency of character and values from the beginning to the end that Peter spoke to. And so from Proverbs 31, reading what especially rings true for me, for Jean, from that psalm, would be, she opened her hands to the poor and reached out her hands to the needy. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teachings of kindness is on her tongue. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her community too, and they praise her. We have experienced the works of her hands and the fruit of her labor. And as the psalmist says, let her works praise her in the assembly of her friends. Thank you all for being here in witness of Jean's life and the contributions that she has made, the fullness of her life. For she truly has contributed to the fullness of our lives. But most of all, thank you, Rekow family. Thank you for sharing Jean with us. And now, my closing words would be that we carry the spirit of Jean with us, and that what Jean represented, the concerns that were her concerns, that let them live on in your life and find ways to express in your life what was most important to Jean in her love for humanity and the needs of humanity. We end now with I remember Jean especially wishing to have Amazing Grace sung. We end with the singing of Amazing Grace, and then following that, Edelweiss, also a favorite of Jean's. And so Dan will come forward for the Amazing Grace.
Let's stand for that. Let's stand for that.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour
invited to sing it. Jean, we commend you to the ages. Jean, thank you for continuing to be with us in spirit. Go now in peace to love and serve this community and one another. Amen. And again, we do have coffee to the back. Those of you who need a quick picker-upper. And we will meet at table 212. I think all of us know where that's at. Down the road a piece at the lake. Turn this way, golf course. And so look forward to seeing you there. See you in a bit. Drive carefully.